Okay, that should be good. Yes, I see audio. Thanks, Michael, for letting me know. For some reason, it always does like some like virtual. It just like makes up an like inputs for yeah. Like it still names the my stuff correctly, but then like when I go into the actual like where it's pulling sound from, it's like some string of numbers, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. But yes, yeah, Pride Month. Um, yeah, I would say Rocket League is my um fidget toy while I talk. Yeah, yeah, and because I'm definitely not addicted to this game at all and can stop whenever I want. Yeah, y'all, I've got 6 months of playtime. That's not normal. Oh yeah, I was kind of waiting on us to settle a little bit. I can. Okay, that that's what it is. Yeah, and if y'all want a little more entertainment, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be. It'll be fine unless there's a problem. Yeah. But anyways, my name's Globy. Um, I'm trans. Yeah, so I think my story is I don't really have a story yet because I'm not very far in my transition. But the majority of it is I grew up in Texas in the Bible Belt. So I didn't realize that like I started my trans journey pretty late when I was 21. By pretty late, I mean like literally 2 months ago. Uh, that's about it for me as far as just my story today. Yeah, so what else? Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I always like never felt like very cis. Like I always thought that I thought I was an outsider for a lot of like growing up because I just didn't get along with a lot of the boys, or not got along, but I just didn't relate to them. And then and I all of my friends were girls, and I thought that was just because I'm like bisexual, um, because that makes sense. Um, but I mean, like, yeah, a lot of the ways I socialized was kind of like walking a line between like kind of girly and kind of like not trying to be a creep as like a boy, if that makes sense. Um, I think what really like stood out was this winter was the first time that I ever grew facial hair. 'Cause I had always like had to shave it and stuff for other jobs, and that's like one of my biggest sources of like dysphoria. Is just seeing like facial hair, and I'm like, what is that? Like, why do I have to grow that? Um, and then also, I've always been like self-conscious about like just my body shape. Like I've always like idolized like whenever I think about like I think we've all had like times where like where I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna start exercising every day. I kind of realized that everyone that I was comparing myself to were women. Like like I just naturally gravitated towards I wanna look like her. Um and I know that was a big thing because I was overweight for like a big part of my like high school experience. Yeah, for sure. I um I had a lot of shame about like not being like manly enough. And I kind of like I would kind of like say that like, oh, I'm just not very manly, and you don't need to be manly to be a man, right? Um then yeah. But then I kind of realized that a lot of those like male experiences just didn't fit with me. Yeah. Yeah. I was also like going through a period where I like really wanted to be like a femboy. Like I started really getting into like a lot of like communities like that. Um and it's like very like thinking back, that's like very like egg of me. Egg. Egg is like refers to when you're like trans and you do things that like crack your egg, like so you break out of your shell. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would like to. I'm looking at your femboy definition. I would like to add on that femboy is also used as a slur against trans women. I believe Ivy might know the better, but that I believe that's the term that it started from. But then, like, yeah, but then like feminine men started reclaiming it. Yeah, yeah,
It kind of depends. And then I'm kind of in between, like mid-level millennial, so I was right on the cusp of that's used as a school ground slur, and we're gonna do the whole reclamation thing for this, and it's just gonna be an identity now. So it's very mixed around my age range.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting.
okay.
Oh no, you go.
Well, I was just gonna talk about the femboy thing. Is online you will see a lot of people still like claim that it's purely a like slur against trans femmes.
Mhm.
So that's where that comes from. I mean, obviously, if you're not sure, be careful what you're calling people.
Yeah, and also some words can like affect one person and not affect another person. So like, that in general things in life are like that, but it's always like you always want to be cognizant of like how a person wants to be addressed or like wants to be referred. And, even if it's a word that most people are cool with, that just if one person's not cool with it, like just don't do it. It's respect, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel like words have power, like, or you could take away that power, and it comes from different places, like if you grew up with a word that really like, is okay now, but like as you grew up it really like messed with you, like it's totally understandable why a person might not want that word to be associated with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as some people try and point it out, like words have power at the end of the day. They do.
Yeah.
Whether we want them to or not, and there's individual history, sociological history. It is what it is, and see, it generally kind of default like it's still the GBLT community, and then
Yeah,
depending on who you're talking to, they're like, I identify as this. It's like, oh, well, okay, now I know how to use this.
exactly. Oh, it's gonna keep doing that. Okay. So I was trying to pull up this quote. So I the whole saying that's like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is just
It's so
such a
bullshit.
lie. Like who came up with that? Because it's not true. Um, and I forgot what the quote said, but it was kind of like a piggybacking off of that to explain why it's just not good. But because my brain can't remember the saying, so like, and now I'm putting myself on the spot. So, but yeah, like it can hurt. Words do hurt, and like people need to be intentional in the words that they do use, and just how they say things to people, like trans or not. You know.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that stick and stones thing, pretty sure it has more to it actually than that. Like it actually means like the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
That tends to happen. I mean, there's so many of them that we've done that with. Like, blood is thicker than water. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's
Yeah.
your group is more important than your family is actually what that means. And then we like shortened it and completely changed the meaning of it. And there's so many like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great minds
Layers.
think alike, but fools rarely differ. It's the
Yeah.
second half of that one, and so it's just things like that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more to the sticks
Sticks
and
and
stones
stones.
thing that means something completely vastly different.
Yeah. I don't know why it thought that I said Texans, but like that kind of makes me think of one of the questions I had, which was like, how has like living in the South affected you coming out?
Well, like one of the big things is just
Oh, and
education.
real quick, your captions aren't working.
Oh my god.
It's so annoying. I'm sorry.
Why do you do this to me?
Right? Come on, Google.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I was looking up the stick fence thing. Um. Oh, okay. Yes. So it was education, right? That's the biggest thing is the fact that I didn't even know what like that being bisexual, like that. I feel like it's a very basic part of the LGBT, like just knowing what it is. I didn't even know what that was until high school, at least. Much less like understand like what being trans means or anything.
Yeah.
So that definitely like I mean I would have a lot of I would have done a lot of things differently if I knew earlier.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. I mean like I was talking about like I never really related to like boys.
Oh,
And
yeah.
part of the reason like one of my things was I have autism. So I kind of just assumed that oh, autistic people get outcasted. That's just normal.
Mm-hmm. So, like, you thought it had something to do with being like autistic as opposed to,
The
like,
trans.
yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, there's probably some elements to that, but uh,
Yeah.
there's definitely like uh, it's definitely like a combination of the two.
Yeah. Do you have support from your family?
Um, well, I actually haven't come out as trans to my parents, and they would be the only ones that could like actually support me. Um, I came out as bisexual to one of them, and that actually went really well. Like my stepdad found out, and the first thing he did when I like came and visited him was like gave me a hug and said he accepted me.
Oh. What about your mom?
She doesn't know at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So how did you like just tell him? Or
I
how did
didn't
he find out?
actually.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm honest with my sister,
Mm-hmm.
but she let it slip to him that I'm bisexual.
Oh, like she thought you had told him or them?
No, she just accidentally outed me.
Oh God, no.
I mean, she didn't mean anything by it, but yeah, she outed me, and I mean, I was like living on my own at the time, so it's not even like that would have been like a safety issue or anything.
Yeah. So you were living on your own at some point?
Yeah. I moved out. Uh, I lived up by myself. Well, I lived with a roommate over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wasn't making enough money to sustain it, so I moved back in with my mom.
So how was it when you lived alone? Like, do you feel like you were able to, like, at that time, were you like at any point in your journey where you could have like tried different things or, explored it more?
Yeah, so I like once I was living like with a roommate, I definitely felt more free because I mean this was before I realized I was trans, but I definitely felt like more like free to like explore like my bisexuality and even like being uh like more feminine and stuff.
Yeah.
Which led to a lot of flirting uh with my Rocket League friends.
She says that she's playing Rocket League.
Yes.
Next time we'll have to set it up where I'm showing your stream at the same time.
Yes. So that was most of my experience was kind of the weird straight flirt that a lot of like guys do. Except I'm not straight, but they still flirted with me. Um, but yeah. 'Cause I mean, like I've as far as like online, I've never been like closeted, right?
Yeah.
Like once I realized, I'm like, okay, who cares? If somebody's gonna be like bigoted, then I block them. Not that
Yeah.
big of a deal.
So are you out to your friends?
To like
Like in like I know you mentioned online, so like in person, I guess, like
I really don't have friends in person. Like I moved like 3 hours away from like where I grew up. only people I know here are people I work with.
And how is that? How's like being at work and being at like, are you not out at work?
No.
So what's that like as you're like discovering yourself?
Um, I think it's less that I'm like I'm not like closeted or anything at work. It's just more that it's not relevant. So I would say it's like it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. Like I'm
Well,
pretty
so
good.
like so do they refer to you as she or like how
No, they don't.
like so they don't know then at
Yeah,
all.
I definitely didn't tell them I was trans because this is Arkansas.
Well, so because you're in person at work or are you online at work? I
I'm
can't
in person.
remember. Okay. So what is like is it a safety issue that you feel at your job
Uh,
or just the state?
yeah, really just to state in general. Like, there's not anyone like specific that I'm like, oh, like they can't find out I'm queer. But
Yeah.
I mean, living in the South, you've got to be careful.
And that is definitely, playing a huge role right now. Um, do you want me to post those links that you shared? Were those some of the resources that you were talking about
Yeah, yeah, go
that you
ahead.
wanted to share? All right, so there is a list of a few links and resources. Do you want me to post the document or the just the links?
Go ahead and do the whole document. So
Yeah.
for everyone, what was I saying? Um, this is just a couple links I pulled up that's uh brings up like some statistics with trans people. Um, and and I feel free to add to it. I set it to where you can whoever does that link can like comment and stuff, and I'll update if it's relevant. Um,
So like I know you had like at least 5 links in there. So do you remember any of the statistics or would you want me to pull some of them up?
you can pull some of them up. I have them pulled up as well.
Nice.
So, so one of the first ones is just talking about like how many people in the United States are actually transgender. Because I think we're getting to the point where we're getting like mass what's the word? Like we're just seeing a lot of media attention, even though we're still a minority. Like that first link um shows that there's only 1.6 million transgender people in America out of these are the people that I like publicly identify as transgender. Um, that's out of 300 million people. So we're looking at like a quarter of a percent.
Yeah. And it also I noticed says 13 and up. So
Yeah,
it's not even considering anybody below the age of 13.
yeah. Which I think makes sense because once you get below 13, it's kind of gender is kind of a weird subject.
Yeah. I see
Um,
that you can change it to adults,
yeah, and
but
it mentions there's only 300,000 of those are under 18.
yeah.
But I mean, if you ask any like right-wing media person, they're gonna say that transgenderism is taking over America when it's clearly not.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that um, never gets brought up, obviously, from like just hateful or unfortunately confused people. I don't know. I'll try and be generous. Is that the more information that is out there, the more likely the person that is already like that is actually going to go, oh shit, wait, that's me. This is okay. There are
Yeah.
people like me. I can be me. That's awesome. So, I mean, it's a very twisted version of application of knowledge to be like, oh well, trans people are just brainwashing the kids. No, I don't fucking care. Like, whatever. Here's this kid's be cis. Cool. I ain't trying to change that. Just want trans kids to survive. And the more knowledge they have and the more acceptability they have, the better off they are. And yeah, you're gonna see an increase. It's gonna happen.
Because of visibility.
Exactly, because of visibility. Not
Yeah.
that there's literally more trans people, there's less trans people that are consistently in hiding or just straight up fucking confused about who they are.
Yeah. And I mean, the numbers for adults, they would be higher, but unfortunately, I can pull up another link. It's the second link. That we as trans people experience an uneven amount of violence and discrimination. Let's see. Violence against trans people. Over 54% of trans people have experienced some kind of partner violence, and 47 of them have been SA'd. And 1 in 10 were physically assaulted between 2014 and 2015. I mean, those are crazy numbers. Like if we're worried about trans people going into like bathrooms and stuff, and like being predators. I mean, cis women just aren't in danger in the way that trans women are.
Oh my god, I have so much to say about the bathroom thing.
Yeah. By the way, as a trans person, I don't care about bathrooms. Like that is honestly like one of my biggest pet peeves about like media coverage on it is like I don't care about public restrooms. Like that is such a non-issue to me. That like what happens with like which bathrooms we're using. I'm more worried about the fact that we're outlawing HRT and making dressing in certain clothing in public illegal.
I think for me, where like the bathroom thing does become an issue is looking back from where that started. It was the first steps. It's a small thing. It's easy to grasp on for people that are on the fence. They can relatively easily make the arguments seem to make sense on the baseline when most people don't know that they know a trans person or they don't know a trans person at all. And you know, for me, the majority of my dangerous confrontations with strangers came from attempting to use a public restroom. Like, I just have to take a piss and then I get my ass kicked for it because they're scared I'm going to do something. Like, that's where it becomes such an issue for me and where I get so frustrated because they're like, oh my god, trans people in the bathroom, we have to protect our women. And like, bathrooms are terrifying. As a trans woman, they are so scary because cis people are so fucking weird about it.
Yeah. And that's not even to mention that the cis women that have been attacked because they've been like mistaken for a trans woman.
Yes, policing this idea of what a woman should look like, and then anyone that doesn't fall into that ends up having issues, shall we say.
Yeah.
So
And the
impromptu tissue says, plus they don't actually care about protecting women either.
Exactly.
Also,
Spot
hi.
on.
Welcome in. But yeah, like I had an issue as a person who's non-binary just using a non-gendered bathroom, which to me, having gendered bathrooms are dumb to begin with. It's just a fucking toilet. I'm sorry, but when you go home and take a piss, are you peeing in a gendered bathroom? No. So when I was at this music venue, they had accessible bathrooms and they were locked. And I, had to like go through hoops just to have them unlock this bathroom. And like it was such a scenario for no reason when they could have just called the janitor to open the toilet. Like I don't understand. And then they locked it after so I couldn't go back to the bathroom. I had I at that point I had just given up and left. But it's just a fucking toilet.
Yeah, right?
yeah.
It's, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, me personally, that's like bathrooms. The bathroom situation has been like so like that's like all that they really care about. Besides, like, I mean, they'll talk about protecting children too, but they'll. I
Yeah.
mean, they talk about like the bathroom situation so much when like it's just so easy. It's such an easy problem to fix, right?
Yeah, but it's really the launching pad for everything else. So while
Exactly.
technically it's not and shouldn't be a big deal, it is one of the biggest ones because it's the base point. That's where you get, if you follow their logic, you follow their idea.
Yeah,
Um, it starts, they're invading our bathrooms. And it blossoms into what it's becoming now, where it's like literally just existing as a trans person is somehow rotting the minds of the children and invading the spaces of decent people.
yeah. I mean, there's stuff like the "Don't Say Gay" bill,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
purely like saying like, oh, I have a partner of the same sex, or having a photo of your partner, not even saying anything about it, but just having that photo there. Um, like there's some states where that's just illegal, where they're gonna,
Yes. So impromptu tissue says, yeah, it's just an easy way for them to other and I still fear. So when you get the more serious topics, people are already brainwashed to fear you. Oh, and
yeah,
still.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and that's like, I guess we're talking about trans issues. It's hard not to get political. That's like
Of
the,
course.
that's like the Republican like formula is we don't have any policy to actually keep people Republican. So we need to find another group to hate.
Well, and the thing about like, oh, well, it's political is one of my favorite quotes is the personal is political. And that is inherently true, at the very least, in most Western civilizations for pretty much everybody except rich, cis, straight white men. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're poor, your personal is political. If you are not straight, your personal is political. If you are the underdog religiously, your personal is political. For nearly everyone, the personal is political. Is so this idea of like, well, it doesn't always have to get political. People are
Exactly.
trying to make laws, and laws are inherently political. People
Yeah,
are trying to make laws to change the way that I am allowed to exist as me, or if I'm even allowed to exist within the public sphere at all.
Yeah.
So of course it's going to be political.
I'm snapping, but it won't pick up, so.
I know. Don't move either.
But it is true. Like that's what I always say is if you're making a law to police how somebody else gets to exist in the world when nobody else gets, or rather everybody else gets to just exist. And then of course there's that everybody else, right? It's the separation of it all that like the law is completely making it to the point where there's like a separation when meanwhile like everybody has always existed in this way all together. There has always been trans people. It is literally in history, but like you cannot erase history and it will always exist and people will not just go away because you make a stupid law.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. Of like the trans people in history, because there's a lot of cultures where like being like non-binary or trans in general is considered like sacred.
Yeah.
Um, like most Native Americans recognize the two-spirited people.
Yeah.
Like they're considered to be like highly spiritual um and to be leaders. Like
I'll
there's
put the definition of two spirit. Also your captions. I'm sorry, but your captions.
um I mean there's still people like Native Americans that um that still recognize the two-spirited. Like there's a lot of respect within that community for trans people.
Yeah.
Whether like those some of them even realize that that's what the like trans like whether they realize that those are like the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, I know there's trans people exist in Hindu. I'm not gonna pretend like I know how to pronounce the
The
name of the
Hijra.
group. Is it the Hijra?
Yeah.
And goddess Shiva. They were considered to be half male, half female. Or it's Shiva, not Shivra. Um, I mean we've got roots in Mesopotamia that's over 7,000 years old. Like we're in all parts of the world, but now we're being like it's like oh everyone's transgender now.
That ties into what Impromptu Tissue just said. The thing that they never realize is that it will come for them one day after POC, after trans folks, after women all lose their rights. It will come for them too. Poor cis white men, the in group will always just keep getting smaller if this system continues.
Yeah. And you kind of see this with some of the gay community is
Oh
there's
yeah.
like the LGB drop the T. Like there's a lot of people that are like of the like sexuality part of the community that's like ignore trans people because it's like oh I've already got like I can marry whoever I want. I've got my rights.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which and like that's kind of the same thing that cis men do. Like why would I fight for someone else when everything's good for me?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is late stage capitalism. It's getting harder and harder to live uh, as someone of like lower or middle class.
I think it's getting harder and harder to live like anything but a straight white man. Like literally like exactly like you said, Krista. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, so that's kind of my, I guess my political thing is that, I mean, the whole reason that any of this exists, like the reason my homophobia or transphobia exists, is because we're a country controlled by money, and it's easier to steal someone's money and then tell them um that like the immigrants are stealing your jobs or trans people are indoctrinating your kids instead of
Yeah.
explaining the what is it like $11 billion in wage theft.
I
Yeah.
said white
Ever
theft.
wage theft. Oh, not wrong.
Yeah.
But
Well, all of this always comes down to hiding something bigger.
yeah, because like most of the Republicans that are like um writing bills against us don't even understand what trans is really. Like
Yeah.
they definitely don't. Sorry, I'm reading chat a little bit.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like they definitely don't care to understand it. Um, and it's all just like they've got to find something to like remain their power. They got really lucky with like Trump and like COVID-19 and stuff because they were able to like I guess release a new wave of like conspiracy theories and all that.
Yeah.
And you've got terms like the woke mob and cancel culture,
Oh, yep.
Oh my god, it's so.
which by the way,
Uh,
like those really don't mean anything because
Exactly.
like not to get on a rant, but woke literally means to be aware of um society or societal and political issues. So if I acknowledge
oh
that
no, how terrible.
I acknowledge that that a certain group has been marginalized, that's woke.
Yep.
And cancel culture is was created by like right wing figures.
What blows my mind is they're always like, the left is waging a culture war, and like it's literally entirely just like conservatives and authoritarians and shit
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
like you're
are,
just sitting here existing.
yeah, leave me be. Just leave me be. It's all good. I really don't care what you do. As long as you keep the pact of peace and you don't break it and you leave me the fuck alone in public, we're good. You can be the biggest asshole in the world. That's fine. Don't hurt other
Exactly.
people.
yeah,
That's really where it draws the line for me. Like, I will never care and I will sit down and have conversations and do all that, but it always comes to like back to me, like depending on how you can have or not have a conversation with someone. It's okay to not know things. It's okay to change your mind, like all of those things. But the second that you just draw a line and you're like not willing, or you're not willing to just like at least hear the other side, and you're like, nope, well, you're just wrong. Like anything that's just like so dismissive like that, it's like,
Yeah.
how can you grow as a person? Like, no one's trying to change your belief in having a conversation, and that's what always like it always feels like is like, oh, I'm not changing my stance, and it's like, I'm not trying to change your stance, but like open your mind a little to think about how this might be for somebody else besides you.
yeah,
Even that, I'm not trying to change my stance. Like, really? Seriously? Are you that cool with just being completely
Right?
and entirely stuck in the position that you were with the same exact beliefs that you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Like,
yeah,
what is so bad about growing as a person?
Exactly.
Which in a lot of ways, I do feel bad for like a lot of the people that like buy into all of it because like at least for me, it's like there's a lot of things that are like very obviously like manipulation or just straight lies.
Fear
Like
tactics, really.
Mhm.
yeah, it's like telling people that like masks don't work. Like
Even though doctors who do surgeries all the time wear them, but I guess they don't work.
yeah, and it
They're
just
just
like
trying to give themselves carbon monoxide poisoning while doing surgery because they don't want to do it anymore.
yeah.
Because they don't want to do it anymore.
But like it's just stuff like that that like it just seems like common sense. Like of course covering your face is gonna help prevent like sickness from getting through. Like that just seems like anyone that's has a brain should be able to recognize that. But we've like literally yesterday I was having that argument and it was like, oh no, it doesn't work. I'm like you're in college. Like how do you not understand how this works?
Yeah, again, it just goes back to like not opening your mind. I feel like it's funny because my parents even have sat there and been like, "You learn too much in school." Like, what? That's
That
what
is
you go to school for, is to learn.
that is such a wild statement.
Yeah. I mean you hear that a lot, like it's like, oh you've learned like the like education turns you into a liberal. And it's like okay.
Because reality has a liberal bias, but all right.
I
Don't you
mean
know we're living in a different reality, Ivy? All sarcasm.
I
Oh,
mean
thoroughly.
and I mean
Thoroughly.
if you're a conservative and like the beliefs you hold are like you believe them to be better than like liberal beliefs, then educate. Like
Exactly.
something you hear a lot is like facts don't care about your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Meanwhile,
anytime I try to ask for facts, I don't get anything. I just get
exactly.
I just get someone mad that I'm arguing with them.
Yeah.
Or their
Well,
opinions, or they're just wrong information.
I
Yeah.
ultimately believe that they get mad because you're challenging a belief that they got so drilled into them growing up that they weren't allowed to expand their mind. And part of me feels like it's just almost like a jealousy in a way of being like, you're allowed to expand your mind and I wasn't, and you grew up differently. Like, why are you still believing differently?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it just feels like.
Well, and so like one of the things I heard a lot in church was so this idea that like you have to accept everything in the Bible, right? Um and the reason why you have to accept everything in the Bible because if one page in the Bible is wrong, then it's all wrong, right? Like if one part of it is a lie, then that means that like the
That opens up the
author,
possibility that all of it is.
yeah, the author is lying. So they would do it again on the other pages, which kind of creates this like narrow vision of like I have to fully believe in this like set of beliefs. Um and and to be honest, like the reason we see so much like hate and just like stupidity from like evangelical Christians and like similar crowds is because they don't read the book that they're preaching from.
Exactly.
Like I grew up in church, like I know what the Bible says, and I knew plenty of people that were like Bible thumping Christians and stuff, and they couldn't tell you what like major parts of the Bible said.
Well, and then, there's the whole like projection of the idea of cherry picking where you take concepts that you already agree with because that's the thing. The Bible's so big. There's so many broad-ranging things. You can use it for harm and for good. And so they throw out the things like forgiving all debts every 7 years. And they throw out the fact that, you know, Jesus hung out with the people that were considered the scum of the earth at the time.
Yeah.
And they keep all of these things that reinforce their bigoted beliefs. That way they don't have to feel like a terrible person. Plus, then you throw in, you know, like Tishu was talking about, the very intentional dismantling and disregard for critical thinking.
100%. That's it right there. Yeah.
And you have this super intense mix of fear and bias and a literal inability to think critically because you've never been taught how.
Mm-hmm.
And that molds into this fierce pushback against anything that goes into their ideology, because at that point, any ideology, any belief that you have is a portion of your identity. It can no longer just be an idea. It can no longer just be a belief. It's absolutely 100% part of your identity. And anytime with people in general, we do all do this. This is not just like just an evangelical thing, just a conservative thing, anything like that. People in general, if you have a portion of what you find very close to you, a part of your identity, questioned or pushed back against, you're going to inherently feel fear and
And guilt
anger
and shame.
as you maintain your own sense of person. It's your brain trying to protect itself because it's like, oh my God, this is me, this is my identity, and now somebody is saying that this isn't true, and you tend to double down against things. And that's one of the trickiest things, is like, to some extent we're attempting to work against a weaponized version of something that's inherent to our psyche as humans.
Mm-hmm. For a second, I thought I was on mute, but I think my brain was on mute. It was just
Thank you,
like,
Tishio.
mic drop. Yes, no, seriously, the way that you like, I suck at words, so when the way you say this is so like beautifully said for real.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, no, and we appreciate y'all for being here as our special guest. The
Just
special guest to the special guest.
I brought a +1.
Yeah.
So I just want to expand on that a little bit. It's kind of crazy to me because like Christians are aware of these problems too. Like I'm talking about like devout Christians that like whenever you think of like the good ones. Like I had quite a few friends when I was still in Texas that like they were devout and like they were doing their best to try to like follow everything the Bible says, right? Um and like they're aware that there's a lot of like bigotry and like even if they don't support like trans people or queer people in general, like like the most important thing, like literally the most important thing is, first of all, you love God, and then you love people. Because the entire point of being a Christian is to get more Christians. And so like it literally like how do you think you're going to like make more Christians if you say call me an abomination and then it's like, well, would you like to not be an abomination? Like that doesn't work.
I don't totally agree with that.
With the what?
I think that the concept of proselytizing and the way that a lot of people are taught to try to bring more people in and to hold to these specific ideas, I really do think that that is built to ostracize the person trying to do that. Because then the outside world really is just as bad as your preacher told you. I mean, look at the way that they treated you. And you dig further into the fold.
I mean, maybe to a degree. I don't think that's the intended um like part of it. I mean, at least like what I learned when I was like in church and stuff was like, okay, so everyone sins, right? You're gonna go to hell.
Mhm.
So go talk to them, get them to like accept Jesus and not go to hell. That's like the formula to being a Christian. And the two things I mentioned with like loving God and people, those are like number one, two, and then making more Christians is three, and then everything else is after that. And like, I don't know. Personally, I don't like if somebody's like respectful about it. Um, I don't mind that third part because I know a lot of them come from like a space where they're like, well, I don't want to see you go to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't inherently think it's a negative thing. I think that a lot of people really do think that they're trying to do the right thing. Um,
Yeah. And I mean, of course, there are like imperfect people too. Like
well, absolutely.
some people are just
Like
like bad
everybody.
at what they're doing, and I mean, and there's a difference between like proper bigotry and somebody who's like doing like the like you're gonna go to hell speech because they think that's gonna be more effective.
Yeah.
And actually, depending on who you ask, if somebody like is like, okay, I'm a Christian because I'm trying to get out of hell, that doesn't count.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different viewpoints. There's so many different um, subgroups. Because
Yeah,
I think the word that I want to say is going to turn into the wrong word with this text thing. But um, there's just so many different
oh,
subgroups and beliefs and everything.
denomination.
No,
This is why I
sect.
always like, yeah. Oh, I knew what you thought that
Yes,
it would
there we
say.
go. Yeah, yeah,
But I just feel like it's all because every single human being on this planet comes from a completely different perspective that nobody else will ever come from. It's all an accumulation of what you go through in life. That's why kids cannot think to themselves like anything about gender or these like, complex topics, or sometimes they even can. Kids understand a lot more than you think that they do, and at the end of the day, like I think a person's belief, like in everything and anything in life, always is going to come down to their experiences. Like somebody who grew up in one area of the world is going to be so different from like the next person's culture or what everything amounts to and like what they believe in. So I feel like it's so hard for like it to ever be groups. Like yes, groups help to like identify where you belong, but at the end of the day, that's just like one thing you have in common. Or a lot of people end up having that one thing in common, right? But that doesn't mean that it's just one thing in common, right?
Yeah,
So at the end of the day, I just feel like that's what it all boils down to. Everything, no matter what, if you're a liberal or not, like that's always what it's going to come down to. And like what you learn in any sort of spiritual sense is always just to love one another. And that's the thing that seems to lack all the time, is because people are just too scared to just love each other. There always has to be something they don't like. And that's also fine. You don't have to like X, Y, and Z. But why it has to flip to this fearful and like scary tactics is just I will never understand it.
I mean, it's easier to control people with fear.
Exactly. And
Like
that's
that's
again what it comes down to.
yeah.
Like all of this.
And then as far as like everybody's own personal normal to take it away to something a little bit more innocuous. Um, for example, I have what's called aphantasia. I cannot make images in my head at all whatsoever. Now, growing up, I always thought that the picture this image in your head was incredibly metaphorical. I didn't see images in my head. Obviously, other people don't see images in their head either. Like, duh. It's
Yeah.
normal not to see images in your head. And so things like meditation always really bugged me and everything because I couldn't do that and I didn't understand what people are talking about. Close your eyes.
Meditation is like
And,
such a whole other topic too because they make
well,
it seem like one thing.
more like the idea of just like, oh, close your eyes and picture a beach. I close my eyes, I see the back of my eyelids because my eyes are closed.
Exactly.
Like, but then in 2016, okay, we're already old by this point, not actually, but you know. But in my mid 20s, I learned the term aphantasia, and that's when I very first learned, like, oh, holy shit. Actually, most people can see some level of image in their head. It's not a metaphorical. Wait, it's not a metaphorical thing? What the fuck? Like, and so it just everything is like that. Your normal experiences to you are the norm until you find out otherwise. And depending on how deeply you hold those ideas, finding out otherwise can be really scary. And people in power that want to maintain or gain more power are going to use that to their advantage because it's just generally easier to control people through fear unless they're well educated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I think, a big portion of why you see this push against education in general. They don't want you to learn how to hold an idea without believing it, how to question your own ideas, which are probably the ones
Yeah.
that you need to be questioning the most, is your own beliefs, the things that you hold as personally true, more so than anything else.
Well,
And if you're not taught that, because it is something that you need to be taught, if you're not taught that, if you're not taught how to think, not what to think,
mm-hmm.
but how to think, how to question things, then you're going to fall for anything. And that's the point.
I actually have a really good book that talks about this and it's really cheap too. Um it's called The Four Agreements. And that kind of it's like I think it's Toltec. Yeah. So it says it offers a powerful code of conduct and can rapidly transform our lives to new experiences of freedom, true happiness, and love. So it's basically questioning yourself, as you're saying, like questioning what you believe, and it kind of talks a lot about that. Um, I'll put the name of the book in here, The Four Agreements, and it just like it does help you in that sense of what you're saying of like opening your mind. And yeah, I'm normally not good at reading books because I feel like I'm very distracted, but I was like hella into this book. So if that doesn't say something,
Yeah.
but oh no, now my captions are being poop.
Dun dun dun.
That's honestly homophobic. Like when did it
Captions like
stop?
these darn queer.
Uh, I keep forgetting to make my character laugh. I do that all the time. My character just doesn't laugh.
This is serious business.
For cereal. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep these captions up because. Oh wait, there we. Yeah, why are you doing that? Okay, I think it's fine now.
So I've actually got
Yes,
a
I know. But
question for you, Joe.
ooh.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Get back on track. Um,
Third and a half
so if you
gear.
don't,
Here we go.
so if you don't mind sharing, do you
Hmm.
have any like specific do you have any experiences with like dysphoria you would like to share?
So dysphoria's a funny thing. Um, Also want to put it out there that even people who don't feel dysphoria does not mean like anything like you don't have to be dysphoric to feel trans or whatever, just whatever you feel in general.
Yeah,
Um, but for me, I feel like where it really roots from is being sexualized, like as a person that like I was born as.
yeah,
So for me, like as a non-binary person and kind of just like rejecting gender, like I feel like it in the sense of like, what it means to be dysphoric, like not being into what like the image that I look at myself in the mirror, type of thing. But at the same time, there are so many glimpses of myself that I do love, and so I think that's kind of packaged in a box for how I feel about it.
yeah,
Like I just want to or not that I just want to like myself, but like I try to find the pieces of myself that like feel like me, and then if something doesn't feel like me, you change it. Like it's like a haircut in a way, right? Like if I don't want my hair in this same haircut, I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna figure out what makes me feel like me. It does not pertain to gender in my eyes, And sometimes for myself, I have a really hard time dismantling how I grew up and like what I'm supposed to look like as the gender that I was when I was born. You know what I'm saying? Like just
yeah,
kind of throwing that out the window because I kind of always feel like I have. And then it wasn't until like college that I was like, like maybe I should try this out. That didn't last long because that wasn't me. You
yeah,
feel, So like it's just like you just find who you are. Like I don't know a single younger person who looks back at their pictures and they're like, what the fuck did I just do to my hair in this picture? Like that's how you find yourself. Like, but everything is always so genderized, if that's a word.
It is
But
now.
right? But it's like, you know what I mean? Like who the fuck cares how you want to present yourself to the world? Um there's a great resource that I have. It's called I think, I don't know if they changed the name of it, but it was called the genderbread person.
oh yeah,
And
That's a mouthful.
yeah, that's why I was like, did they change the name of that? Cause, but oh, let me go to the actual little guy. So I'm gonna post it in the chat. It's basically a gingerbread person, right? But
Yeah.
the reason why they say genderbread is just because like it's about gender, of course. So if you click on it and look at it, the whole outline, right, of the outside of this gingerbread man, right, or person is your expression, right? It has a little arrow to the brain. That's your identity, what you think of yourself, right? Attraction, that's who you love, like how you feel in that department, right? And then of course, what's in your pants. Although all of this like has a sliding scale of like what you feel about each of them and everything like that. And it's kind of just like I like it because it makes you think about things that maybe you don't normally think about. Um, I have to find this other amazing image. It's like a graph and I mean, not a graph, a like a pie chart and all the pieces of like how you feel about yourself, you know? Like this just is like across the board, I feel like for me. So I love this tool. And I always show people this because it just makes you really think about yourself and like more than just like, you know, there are parts of you, you know. But
Yeah.
yes, this is a great tool for that. But yeah, so I got lost in the sauce there. But yeah, so like the dysphoria package is just kind of that's what it is for me. I try to dismantle it all the time.
Yeah. I know like a strong sense of euphoria when I changed my hairstyle.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like when I went to that middle part.
Hairstyle like means so much. Like
Yeah. And it's stuff like that that's it's like it really doesn't matter, but it does.
yeah, exactly.
Like
100%.
logically I'm like what does this hair like there's plenty of like cis men that are rocking like the kind of hairstyle I'm rocking. But why does
Yeah.
this make me so happy?
Because it's all about the individual experience.
Yeah. And I know y'all been waiting for this. Another source of my dysphoria is my voice. And it just so happens
Been waiting.
it just so happens that we have someone who might know something about that.
Oh yeah.
You do? Who is it?
The
Surprise
third,
face! I'm so happy you did.
we have
I'll even laugh to that.
we have a third guest coming.
A th- a third guest.
I can't wait to meet them.
Yes, but Ivy, do you wanna say a couple words?
A couple words.
No.
That's the end
Okay.
of the show. Good night, guys.
um, so I actually teach voice lessons because voice has a tendency of being such a big portion of dysphoria. Like you can get physically looking exactly how you want to, and then if you open your mouth and you don't like your voice, well, I mean, that's, you know, for myself, there were times I would not talk. I would only write because I hated my voice so much. And um, you know, I learned how to change my voice, learned more about the voice, and now that's literally just what I do. I teach other trans folks, specifically trans feminine. Like I can teach trans masculine, but it's not preferential. Like I don't want to be regularly dropping my voice.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's actually what I was about to
but
ask is that like obviously trans femmes like I mean they don't have to, but like they're like that's the only way they're gonna like get like a more feminine voice is if they train it versus like a
yes,
trans
many
mask.
times with trans mask folks, if you are taking testosterone, it will affect your voice. Now, whether or not it drops it super deeply or everything grows a ton, whatever, you know, that's variable, just like with taking any other hormones as far as like what is your age and how do you already look and how old are you and genetics and all of that fun shit. But yeah, typically if you're taking testosterone, it's going to change a lot, including your voice. But if you take estrogen, it doesn't change anything at all. And if you didn't know, now you know. When it comes to the voice, it doesn't change anything. So if you
Yeah.
hear a trans woman with a voice that stereotypically matches things, I try to be careful with this
Mhm.
wording because I hate how
Mhm.
everything's stereotyped. But
Yeah.
if they have like a stereotypically feminine voice, there's a lot of work that's went into that. A lot of work. With lessons, we kind of fast track that work, and it still generally takes at least a year.
Yeah.
And that's just to be able to have control out of all the independent parts. That is not to have it normalized and be able to use it all day, every day. But yeah, I love voice training. It's a lot of fun, and as someone who had like really hardcore voice dysphoria, it's really nice to be able to help other people with it to take from wherever your voice starts. Like my voice started lower than most people I know,
Yeah.
guy or girl. And so it doesn't really matter where the starting point is. You learn how to control those individual pieces, and it's all tricky. Like it's hard. I'm not gonna bullshit about it. But like, oh, it's really easy. Once you have training, it's really easy. No, no, no way at all. It's all hard, but you learn how to control all the different pieces, how to make your voice not sound buzzy, how to change the pitch, how to change the overall brightness of the voice, like all these little details. It gets really interesting. It's a lot of fun to do. I like doing it.
So
Alright.
if you are in need of such a service,
Read my mind and you'll know exactly where to go. I will put a link
yes.
right there. And yeah, so if you just go through there and you tell them that you want lessons with Ivy, cool. If you're looking for trans mask lessons, there are other people for that. And obviously, you don't have to go through me. We have a lot of awesome, competent teachers. But, if you want to.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in my stream too.
Yeah, so for anybody that's not actively reading any of the streams, it is yourlessonsnow.com. And yeah, it's we're mainly focused on voice lessons. I do have some students that transfer to music lessons. I do also teach music lessons, piano, composition, audio engineering, and music theory. But yeah, it's mainly focused around voice lessons and just being able to create your own voice in a way that makes you comfortable.
Yes. And thank you so much for reading that link. I want to try to be more cognizant of those sorts of things as well. I am trying to make sure everybody feels that they have a part here, regardless.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's
and I mean,
why
it depends on the link too. Like the gingerbread one that you
Yeah.
sent, that's just a mouthful.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But no, I still appreciate it. And yeah, so all of this information that you heard today will definitely be in the Discord, so you don't have to worry about that. But I am so happy that had the chance to sit and talk with both of you about this. I've been meaning to do another topic, and March is just crazy. Like, who is she? Um, oh, hey, welcome in, Jess. I'm sorry that you're coming at the end. Oh boy, but you can watch this over again. That's the best part about
Dun dun dun!
VODs.
Yay!
Yeah. But yes, and like I said, all of this info will be in the Discord. You can find the Discord link somewhere in the bottom, and the things. They're there. But yeah. So again, thank you both so much for being here and just being so open with us and all of that.
I'm sorry I couldn't make the segue more cringe.
What segue?
It's okay. Keep working on it.
Oh, that one. Yes, yes. Yeah, I was hoping for it, but that was actually just perfect.
Yeah.
I
Actually,
see what you did there.
we've got another one. It's actually Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh God. No. Oh
Oh,
damn.
thank you for posting the Discord. Oh yes,
Yeah. No
impromptu
worries.
tissue said thank you for sharing so openly.
Oh, I have a lot more shenanigans to talk about. I think it'll
Yeah.
be relatively soon. But that's all I'm gonna say. Unless JoJo wants to
Yes.
say
Well,
more.
I just want to
Yes,
say,
actually, perfect time to promote you, Ivy, since you will be the next person to chat. So either in 2 weeks or a month, that's when the next one will be, y'all. Whichever comes first.
2 weeks comes first.
Does it
whichever one
though?
actually
You never
comes.
know. 2 weeks could just go out the window. It happens all the time.
Yeah. We're just gonna skip that part and go to a month from now.
You know what? Uh,
I don't
I
know
have
what
to-
happened. There was 1 week and 6 days, and then suddenly there was 1 week and 8 days.
It happens to the
Shenanigans.
best of us, okay?
Not Finnegan's, shenanigans.
I saw that.
There we go.
Finnegan's shenanigans. Oh boy. But yeah, I loved this and it was awesome and I can't wait to do it some more. So yeah, if y'all want to come back for the next one, feel free to give us a follow. You know, gotta promote myself. I always don't do it, so.
Now that I have an avatar, I might actually stream on my channel. But don't hold
Yes,
me
you
to
should. And the other thing I will say as well is that in 2 days on Thursday, I will be streaming Overcooked 2 on my stream team's page, Queerty Gamers. So I'm actually going to give them a shout out because I see that they're on right now. But yeah, so you can catch me there on Thursday. It'll be 9 p.m. Eastern. So I don't know what it is in the other ones, but my brain, can't do the things. They are playing Jackbox Party Packs right now also. So I feel like if there's anything else that you can go to from this, it is a good Jackbox game. But yeah, so
And just always remember the life lessons of a toilet. Shit happens, and then you flush.
exactly. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this has been so much fun, y'all. And we will see you soon. Specifically Thursday, you'll see me playing Overcooked. But all right. Have a good night, everyone.